Hey, what is up everybody? So Nuts here, bringing you my hypothesis on what I think is going to occur at the beginning of Fallout 4, dealing with the whole Vault 111 dilemma. Now at E3, Todd Howard confirmed that you and your family are lowered into the vault, and events transpire, and 200 years later you arise as the sole survivor of Vault 111. Now this has led to a lot of speculation in the Fallout community, but about 99.9% of people are assuming that cryogenics are involved, and I 100% agree. I think the experiments going on in Vault 111 are definitely cryo-related, because every single vault has some type of experiment that usually goes wrong. But my theory is a little bit different from what I've been reading and watching on YouTube, so hear me out. So alright, you and your family, you get lowered into the vault, right? Now I think years are going to pass by before the actual cryo sleep occurs. Alright, like Fallout 3, you start off as a baby. A couple years pass, you're a preteen. A couple more years pass, you're a teen. Then a couple more years pass, you're an adult. And then you finally leave the vault, right? I think something like that is going to occur here. I think some years are going to pass by, here and there, here and there, here and there. And your son or daughter are going to grow up to be about between 16 and 18 years old. And then the cryo sleep is going to occur. And then 200 years later you arise as the sole survivor. That doesn't necessarily mean that everybody else in the vault is dead. That just means that you arise as a sole survivor, which means everybody else could have awoken before you and could be out in the world roaming around. That means your wife and your son or daughter is out there in the world, and eventually you may or may not run into them. Or maybe, you know, something crazy happened and everybody in the vault got murdered and you're just the only one that managed to survive because you were stuck in the cryo sleep chamber. And I'm also thinking that it's gonna be similar to the Idiocracy plot. I don't know if y'all have seen that movie or not, but I highly recommend it. It's pretty damn hilarious. It's about Luke Wilson and Maya Rudolph. They're two average people. They get put into the cryo chambers, and the timer is supposed to be set for a year. They're supposed to be awoken a year later. But some crazy shit happens, and then all of a sudden they are awoken out of their cryo chambers 500 years later into a crazy ass world. And I think that might be what occurs. I think maybe your character is supposed to be put on cryo sleep for maybe a year, maybe 5 tops or something like that, but something goes wrong. The cryo chamber malfunctions, and your chamber ends up keeping you asleep for 200 years. And maybe everybody else's chamber actually worked, and they were actually out a year later or 5 years later, and now everybody in that chamber is probably out in the world dead somewhere. Or maybe every cryo chamber is set to a specific time, like maybe a couple of people were set for 5 years, a couple of people were set for 10, a couple of people were set for 50, a couple of people were set for 100 years, and your chamber was just set for 200 years. And maybe your wife and your sons were set for 100 years, or maybe 150 years, or maybe 175 years. So I mean, there's all these different things that could be going on with the whole cryo chambers and why you awoke by yourself in Vault 111. But I really do believe that you may not run into your wife, but I have a feeling you're going to run into your kid out in the world. Because like I said, I guarantee once you go in the vault, time is going to pass by, your kid's going to get a little bit older before the whole cryo sleep shit happens. And I just think your wife and your kid are probably going to be awoken before you. They're going to go out into the world, and towards the end of the game, or maybe the middle of the game, you're going to end up running into either your wife or your child, or both, or, you know, maybe even none. Maybe they woke up 100 years before you and they're fucking dead. But yeah, that's my theory, because Todd Howard said the baby will be modeled around the way you make the parents look. Now why would he implement something that cool if your wife and your baby are gonna die 30 minutes later? It just wouldn't make sense. I mean, your kid would have to grow up to look like you, and then be off in the world somewhere, and then you just come across them, and then you're like, whoa, that's cool. And then maybe towards the end of the game, your son or your daughter will be one of your companions. Something like that. How cool would that be? One of the dozen companions you can have could end up being your child. And I don't know, man. That's just the way I think it's going to be. I know my theory's a little bit discombobulated because I'm not really good at making these type of videos, because I'm a very unarticulate person, man. I'm an idiot. I'm not going to lie. I'm not really a speaker. That's why when I make videos, I just goof around. But yeah, that's my theory. So, you know, leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about my theory. Let me know if you agree, disagree. Leave a like, leave a dislike, you know. And, I'll talk to you guys later. War never changes, like my underpants.